All right, so basically, this is an extra special video. This is the kind of quality content you guys are not going to see very often, but we're taking the time out to do this. So we're going to have a kind of free-flowing conversation, dating, life in London, recovery, all of that stuff. Paul, my friend, known him for a long time. Troy Francis, how you doing, man?
Well, we're in front of the camera, so the camera never lies.
Well, that's true, but I mean, in a way it does, right? Because you see, well, think about how people meet these days. Like, a lot of people are meeting online. A lot of women are like, they're using the dating apps in order to meet dudes. And a lot of them, they're going to use filters, and they're going to use like, they use AI to like make themselves look different in front of the camera. So maybe the camera can lie.
Well, good luck to them. They're not doing anyone any harm. Everyone's grown up now. It's the way of the world, isn't it? Don't you think? Don't you think it's the space age? What the world's moved on. That's the way things are done these days. Or do you want to go back to when Dateline had all those cards? You know?
Oh Jesus, yeah. I mean, have you ever used a dating app?
Yeah, plenty of fish.
Oh, have you used it?
Yeah, I was up there, but I signed off it. I got worried. I just got worried, but I was on it. I made a few attempts.
Any was that when you were in Southampton or later?
No, it's at the day centre. They put up my profile for me. The computer whiz did it for me.
Oh really? Okay. So what? They put some photos up?
Yeah. Put my photo up. Put my profile.
Did they have to? Did you write anything in the biography? Did you write like what your interests are and all that kind of shit?
No, it wasn't like that. It was a simple format.
Yeah, because I mean, well, so basically these days you've got things like, like Tinder, and then there's another one called Hinge, and I think there's Bumble, and I think there's some other ones as well. I don't particularly like using them, so I've used Tinder in the past, I've used Bumble. I don't think I've ever really used Hinge, but I'm told now by my clients that Hinge is one of the more popular ones. But I mean, back in our day, because we're a similar age, aren't we? We're all like late 40s, I'm 50, we're getting on a bit. Back in our day, how did you meet girls?
Well, when we went out for town, when all of us got together, when we weren't going down the local, we'd hit central London pubs and hopefully meet them there in the pub. But I don't know.
So back in
there was a nightclub where we were in Ealing.
Yeah, I mean, you told me there was a nightclub in Greenford as well.
There was. Where was that? When was that?
Do you remember that time we were in Greenford? And do you remember that time when we were making a joke because there was that shop and you were saying they sold sheep's heads in there? And you said above that there was like a nightclub.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I think it was Indian only. I think it was called the Palm Club. I think it's closed now though.
Seriously? And I mean, did you ever go there?
No. I just got my shopping from Tesco's and I started going to the Super Chef. The waitress prepositioned me, but I turned her down because I was
not feeling it.
I couldn't rise to the occasion. She opened the toilet door and then afterwards she shouted out, "Yes, please!" And oh my God, I think she's gone now. And her name, never mind what her name was, but but you know what I don't know. That was about it for me. Shall I say how I normally get women?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that, that's fine. By the way, what I would say is that using this camera, because when we've shot videos before, we've often used the iPhone, but the issue with the iPhone is that the audio, unless I get a microphone attachment for this, the audio I think is going to be better on this, because we got the mic. But yeah, anyway, if you want to talk about, so these days, obviously you meet women in a different way.
Yeah, but I've even stopped doing that. It was predominantly over the last year and a half, 2 years, it was at the Well Health Centre, Little Newport Street, where there was...
Yeah, so basically, I mean, to be candid about it for the viewers, I mean, basically what you're talking about, you were basically like paying, you were visiting, women who, would accept payment in return for sexual favours.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but what can I do? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I thought, it's not like I've fallen on hard times. I was told at various points in my schooling and employment history, various various big hitters told
Yeah.
me to go. Told me to go. I was told to go.
Was there something about your dad? Did your dad ever encourage you?
My dad once said at the Marble Arch Hotel outside, he said prostitutes in a really solemn way with his face in a frown. And I think he might have used them himself back in the day, but...
Before he met your mum or...
No.
But this is the thing, isn't it? Because we were talking about this. We did another video last night. We were doing a video on the iPhone and we were talking about... I mean, the problem is that men want variety, don't they? Like sexual variety.
Well, if you're painting the town red, yes. But if you're just ain't it? You settle down with one person and then you have 2.4 kids, like the BBC sitcom.
Well, that's where you're meant to get to, right? So obviously now, because as you know, like I'm with my girlfriend now, and obviously.
Have you hung up your hooves? Have you hung up your jodhpurs?
Well,
have you hung up your what's it called?
Or boots.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have, because like right now, obviously I'm with her. I love her a lot. You know, we have. I mean, you know the history more than most people, because obviously you haven't really met her, but you did. You kind of met her that one time, didn't you? Well, you saw her anyway in real life.
Yeah.
There's a dog approaching the table.
Yeah, he's all right.
So you've seen her. So you know basically like the whole history, because basically I was seeing her for like quite a few years actually. That was before we started hanging out as much. And then obviously I broke up with her, largely because I was a bit naughty. I was like playing away from home. And
why did you do that then? If you had her under your belt, why did you? I thought you're supposed to settle down after a certain age.
Well,
or do you mean men keep on partying until they're late? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think some men do. I mean, I think the thing with me is that, like, I've always been... I mean, is immature the right word? I don't know, really. I mean, I think for me, for some reason, the way my life's panned out, because as I say, like we're both like half a century old, basically, right? So getting on a bit. I think I look somewhat young. Maybe I look somewhat younger than my age. I mean, maybe not a lot younger, but a little bit younger. And I sort of pushed it maybe for longer than a lot of other guys would have done. But I think the thing with her was that we were together, and we started out. It was pretty casual when we started out. Like we met in a club. We were hanging out, but we weren't serious boyfriend and girlfriend. Then it got serious, but the problem is I didn't recognize what I had. That was the mistake that I made, right? Like, I loved her, and I was really attracted to her, we had a great time, but I was greedy, and I didn't, you don't realize what you've got until it's gone, do you?
Yeah. Did your employment affect this? Because your employment, is that based where you have to live up to a certain...
reputation.
And number of notches on the bedpost as well, surely. Can I put it crudely like that?
Yeah, you can. Obviously, we could talk about, obviously, Troy Francis, we could talk about the Troy Francis stuff and everything. So basically, I think it probably affected it to some extent, because I think at that stage, I was probably still... I mean, I was, even then I was getting on a bit. I was in my 40s, but I think I was still... It wasn't that I had this huge desire to go out and meet different people, but I think I still had that idea in my head, what lifestyle do I actually want here? And that probably contributed to what ended up happening.
Yeah, but I nip it in the bud. You go where I go, you go in, you pay the entrance fee, you get your clothes off, and then you do what comes naturally, and then
job done.
Job done, quick and easy, wash and go, like.
But by the way, let me just ask a quick question. Are you enjoying, obviously, we're here, we're having a couple of drinks. Do you enjoy making the video? Do you think this is a good kind of use of our time? Because otherwise, we'd kind of be just sitting here with our dicks in our hands, wouldn't we?
Is this subversive?
It kind of is, but I think we just want to have, kind of an honest conversation, just to...
Is it... I read George Orwell 1984. Would this be considered like when he was keeping his notepad? Is this allowed these days?
Well, I don't...
But well, I think I've gone back a few notches, because with the advent of the internet, doesn't this happen predominantly frequently?
Well, I think that we live in a... Here's the thing, right? So obviously our heyday, if you like, was probably the 1990s. I mean, when I look at my life, right, I was very influenced by the 80s, because a lot of the music that I like, Depeche Mode, Morrissey, Pet Shop Boys to some extent, all of those electronic bands, a lot of that was the 80s, but I was still quite young in the 80s. But then in the 90s, that's when we sort of came of age, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, that's when I was at uni, I was in Manchester, I think you were in Southampton.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but I did a lot of partying at that time.
Yeah, we kept it on the low, just the student pub area, and then people's rooms in their lodgings. But it was personality forming. It was a shame I lost touch with them, but.
Did you have like friends from uni that you kind of lost touch with?
Lost touch with, just out of police called at my house. Shall I talk about that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like what in Southampton or later?
I just kicked off at them. I did hard drugs, and then I wanted to score more, and I think I was phoning them at the middle of the night.
What kind of stuff? Without, I mean, you don't have to go into details. But what are we talking about? Like coke or?
It escalated to Class A. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the thing for me, and this relates to, because both of us are, we're in. Well, I mean, we can't talk about it too much publicly, but we're in recovery, or we're meant to, we're meant to be in recovery. We're in a program of recovery where obviously drugs and alcohol are a bit of a no-no. But the reason that we're in that is because both of us like basically fucked up. But the thing is, when you think about it, the 90s was a very decadent time, wasn't it?
It marked our cards forever, and it's made us who we are today. Which, if people in recovery, people who go to rehab, and then people who go to 12-step fellowships, say no more. But we're considered. The 90s made us failures now, because we're considered failures, aren't we? Are we considered failures?
Well, not necessarily, because as you know, and again, without going into details or naming any names, but when you go to those meetings, there's actually a lot of quite prominent, we see quite a lot of quite famous people, don't we? So quite prominent people, but it's a very mixed bag, because you've got world famous people there, and then you've also got, people just come off the street, or they're just out of rehab, or they've been homeless or whatever, or they've been in jail, right? So it's this very, very like mixed bag.
Yeah, but we're all failures, aren't we?
Well, I mean, do you want to frame it like that? I mean, are we not, like, we're trying to...
Beck, I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me?
Classic. But would you say failures? Because, I mean, at least we're trying. The whole point of it is we're trying to...
But aren't you in... I don't know if I should say this, but aren't you in danger of losing your current girlfriend?
Her issue was my sexual shenanigans, basically, right? Because obviously what women want, really, I mean, they don't want a guy who's messing around on the side.
Yeah.
So that was the bugbear, and now I'm not, because I'm with her. So on that level, no, and we're getting on very well. We're having a very good time, but at the same
why don't you leave it at that then? Leave, as they said in the Old Bailey, one of the barristers. I'm sure they're giving me role plays to educate me in this. He used the phrase, why don't you leave it at that?
What, you mean just obviously, I'm with her now, we're together.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, here's the thing, right? So basically, we were apart.
You know why I use prostitutes, because I'm a free man, but you're not a free man. You can't carry on this for longer.
But I'm not doing it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I mean, so that's the point. That's what I'm saying. I'm not acting out. I'm not acting out sexually. And but the prostitutes thing is, I mean, that's almost a different subject matter in a way, because that was your. We talked about this yesterday on a different video, but that was your primary. That became your primary way to meet women. Whereas for me, I was meeting women. I mean, I used the dating apps to some extent, and I had some success on the dating apps. I met a previous ex-girlfriend who I was with for a period of time. I met her on one of the dating apps, for example, other people. But in general, what I like to do, and what I teach, what James teaches and everything, is what we call cold approach, which is basically just walking up to somebody that you don't know and be like, hey, listen, I think you look cute, I wanted to come over and say hi, and seeing how that conversation goes. So for me, that's worked very well. But you've gone straight to the transactional. I mean, are you happy with that? Did you ever think about trying You know, to maybe like meet someone more authentically?
No, I was told to go there. One person said, how are you going to know your way around a woman's body? He said, get a prostitute.
I mean, there is some value in that, right? Because I think a lot of guys, it's interesting because we teach guys from all different sorts of backgrounds. They've had different levels of experience, and I think if you're somebody who just hasn't physically had experience with a woman, then in the end, right, it probably makes sense to pay a professional because you got to know what you're doing, right?
I was only a drugs fiend at that point. I wasn't a sex.
What kind of drugs were you using?
Mainly marijuana, but.
What about a bit of coke?
Yeah, started to. I don't know.
What about ecstasy and MDMA? Did you ever get into that?
I did half a pill once.
You see, you're right. So this is where our stories are a bit different because what happened for me. Because I went to Manchester in the early 90s. Now, remember, the heyday really for Manchester was 1980. Was Summer of Love. It was like 1988, 1989. You know, the Happy Mondays, all that shit. But when I got there, it was like 92. But it was still pretty happening, right? The Hacienda was open. There was a bunch of other clubs. The club scene up there at the time was fucking insane. And basically what happened for me was I'd left home. I'd had quite a sort of... quite turbulent kind of home life in many ways. You know, my parents had been divorced, stepmother didn't get on so well, my stepmother, blah, blah, blah. As soon as I was let off the hook, I was like, right, fuck it. I'll go to the north, I'll go to Manchester, where all the partying is going on, and I just threw myself into it like a duck to water.
Oh my God. Has it scarred you for life?
I think it, to be honest, right, I wouldn't say scarred for life, but it changed my life. It changed me as a person. Right, and actually, in some ways, arguably for the better, because what happened was, when I was at school, I was very bad with women, with girls, in the school. I say school, like college, like late teenage years, whatever. Very, very bad with women. There were some women that were into me, but I would always just ignore them. And, I'd always fancy this one girl, and she wouldn't be interested, and then I'd ignore the others, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't get experience. So I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But then I went to Manchester, and it was right at that point when ecstasy was becoming like a big thing, all the dance music, all that. And I just literally, it's a kind of expression, I literally just went mad for it.
Well, I remember being on the tube train as a kid with my dad, and this woman said he's lovely and was looking at me, and I averted my gaze. I can't take admiration from women. I tend to I don't flip on them, but I can't the thing about the prostitutes is it cuts all that out. You just
it's wash and go.
Just wash and go. It's just quick and easy, the barber said.
But all right, so here's the question though, because like James Tusk always says to me, really with women you want three things. You want the thrill of the chase, you want the excitement of the sex, but then you also want some sort of sense of intimacy and connection and stuff like that. And the problem with paying for it, I would argue, is that you cut two of those out because you haven't really got the thrill of the chase, because you're just going to go in there and get it anyway. And then you don't really have the intimacy bit either. So would you not like those other parts of it?
Yeah, but on the way there, you're running to the brothel on the day you want some, and they're convenient because they accept you. Like I drank a bottle of port, and once I drank a bottle of whiskey on consecutive evenings, and then I went to the brass afterwards. I had a great time, just like...
Yeah.
And they seem to pick the right ones for me.
So how come you started going to that particular one? We're talking about Little Newport Street. Like, how come that became the favourite?
He showed me the bloke I know, the bloke, and then he showed me, and then I've been... apparently he went with 1,000 of them, and he showed me like...
1,000?
Yeah, he said he'd been with 1,000.
Let's go. Yeah, that's Sebastian Horsley numbers, isn't it?
He's done well though, hasn't he? No.
Well,
no.
I don't know, man. Really? Well, I guess so. I mean, 1,000 is 1,000, right? But again, I mean, the issue that people might have is, I think what a lot of guys want. Yes, of course, they want to have sex. They want to have physical intimacy, right? But there's also that sense of being wanted as well. And the problem is, often, if you're paying for it, there's that question of, do they actually want it, or are they just there because they're being paid? You know what I mean?
Oh, right. No.
You're not bothered about that?
No, I don't think about that. All you think about is you've got to You've got to get there. When suddenly you wake up with the thought, I'm going. You get on the tube train, you get down there, and you pop in pretty quick, smart. You quick march.
Yeah, but you haven't done it for a while now.
I had an operation, and also the doctor said I've got a low sex drive, low hormones. Would I want Viagra? I said I ain't got a girlfriend. It's become a non-issue, and also did I tell you? No, I won't say that.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, right, as we get older, this is what I was saying. I made that video before when we were waiting around. I made a video for my group. I think as we get older, I think our sex drive reduces anyway. I mean, do you think that's a bad thing or a good thing?
Time to grow old gracefully.
I mean, it's not like it goes entirely, but I remember, this is the thing, right, you see, because when I was in Manchester, right, and basically I had the triple whammy. It was like the hat trick, because I was really into, the drink. I got into the drugs, like the MDMA, the ecstasy at the time, amphetamines, a bit of coke, whatever. And also I got super into wanting to meet women as well. And the reason that I guess I became good, quite good with women, was because I was just so driven that basically I was just hitting on everybody. So I go to the club, I'm just hitting on everybody in the fucking club, like every woman in the club. And obviously you get rejected a lot, but usually you'd meet somebody who kind of liked you, and then game on, right? So for me, I think that experience changed my life, because if I hadn't have done that, I probably would have been no good with women, and then I wouldn't be doing the job that I'm doing now, and I wouldn't be able to help other guys. But equally, my dating life wouldn't have been as prolific as it was.
And also, you got the side effect of it. Not the word side effect, but you got the bonus of getting a lovely girlfriend because of your prolific dating she liked you for that reason, probably. That was on your CV, right? Which she probably checked out, right?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I think on the one hand, women, I believe women like men who are experienced. Okay, I think that is somewhat attractive, and it's also attractive because they kind of it's kind of like if he's been accepted by these other women, there must be something good about him, right? They
said that in a movie once. One movie, they said
yeah.
But if I am out of the game, then I'm just going to have to revert back to what I was. I lost my virginity at 28, right? So
Did you?
Yeah. So.
But was there no opportunities at uni though?
Not many. I didn't know what to do, and a lot of the time I was so stoned.